السلام عليكم. أنا دكتور عبد الله متولي، أستاذ في قسم مكتبات والمعلومات بجامعة القاهرة، واستشاري بنسيج ومدير عام بأكاديمية نسيج. وبرحب بكل الحضور معنا. أرجو طبعا لو في أي حد عنده أي مشكلة تقنية في إنه يسمعني أو يسمع المحاضر مش نانسي يقدر يبعت لنا تحت. ومعنا زميلنا أستاذ سعيد مسؤول عن التنسيق الخاص بالأكاديمية وأرجو عن إدارة السيشن دي من الناحية الفنية. برحب بيكم أولا في الويبينار دوت، وأتصور إنه هيبقى إن شاء الله ويبينار ناجح لتفاعلكم من خلاله، وأيضا بالخبيرة الأستاذة نانسي باعتبارها ليها باع طويل في تسويق المكتبات، وليها كتاب منشور حوالين دوت من البست سيلينج في LA Publishing Series. ومش عايز اخد وقت كتير منكم، طبعا احنا حريصين في الخمس دقايق الاولى نبقى برضه متيحين الفرصه لاي حد الظروف ما سمحتش انه يقدر يخش اون تايم معانا. اول 5 دقايق الى حد كبير هطلب من نانسي انها تتواصل في معاكم كانترودكشن للسيشن نفسها، وبالتالي كمان 3 دقايق او 4 دقايق وشويه بعديها على طول هتبدا مباشره باللغه الانجليزيه. ارحب بكم مره ثانيه، وانا هترك المساحه لاستاذه نانسي، وبدعوكم ان شاء الله لمتابعه سلاسل الويبينار او ايضا الورش اللي بنعملها اون سايت مش بس الكترونيه في الدول العربيه المختلفه لخدمه مجتمع المكتبيين واخصائي المعلومات في العالم العربي، وبالتوفيق ان شاء الله. Nancy, would you mind just to start? I already gave a brief about the workshop, and for sure the CV already communicated to all the attendees, and you can just starting the intro for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then directly log on to the workshop content. And if you allow me, just I mentioned to them that, and you can confirm that all the questions will be at the end of the session for about 10 to 15 minutes, so that you can get the benefits of the whole time that available for this session that will be for 1 hour. Thank you for joining us, Nancy, and we are looking for more deep information about marketing our libraries here in our GCC area and the Arab world. Please go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you. Hello, how are you today? Yes, we will be taking questions anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the presentation. Today we are going to cover a lot of topics, so we're going to take marketing from what does it mean to market your library services? And then we're going to start to explore why it's worth to work with patrons that you have existing now versus going out and getting new patrons. Which is better to do? Then we're going to talk a little bit about brand marketing and product marketing. What is the difference between those two? And my favorite is how to get staff buy-in. That is something that so often so many libraries forget about. And then we're going to dig in and talk about how to launch your product or service. And then, of course, we're going to have some success stories. So that's a lot to cover, but I think we can do it in about 50 minutes. We'll have 10 to 15 minutes at the end for any kind of questions that you have, okay? So let's get started. I'm so glad that everyone can hear well. So the first question we have, of course, is what is the problem? The problem is you have lots of resources and services and products in your library, and your challenge is how do you get people to use them, right? That is essentially what marketing boils down to. So when we start to talk about that marketing, we have to ask ourselves, who is it that we're going to try to get to use our services? New patrons? Do we have to go out and find them? or are we going to work with existing? And that's always been a tough question. Here in the States, our academic libraries are really in a quandary because they have so many students that come in and they use their library for plugs to plug into electrical, or they use the Wi-Fi. But they're sitting in the library and they never actually know any of the resources that that library has. So one of the things that we started to look at is, well, what are the stats? Is it easier? Is it better? Is it more profitable to bring in new customers? Well, statistics tell us that the best rule of thumb is to retain your customers and build those loyal relationships. We actually see that existing customers, you have a better chance, 60 to 70% of people who are existing customers will listen to what you have to say about your products and services, your collections, rather than trying to get a new customer, because first you have to acclimate them to your library, you have to build a relationship with them, and then you can start talking to them. They also came out with 50% of the people are more likely to use your library services if they've already come into your library. So if they're coming and they're just not using everything, those are the people we want to really address first. The other thing is that 31% of the people who are existing customers, they actually use you 31% more. And those are pretty amazing statistics. So before you start to think about going out and trying to find new customers, the first step is to look at who's already coming to your library. And once you figure out who's coming into your library, then you start to look at what services are relevant for them. Now, brand marketing versus perception. So we often hear about brand marketing. How many of you have said, oh, we have to get a new logo, we have to give a new look to our library? That's brand marketing. Usually you do brand marketing if people don't understand, they have the wrong perception about your library. So maybe they think you're out of date. If you talk to people on campus or people coming into your library and you ask them, so why do you not use the library? And they say, oh, you don't have anything that I need. Or, oh, we use our own resources. That tells you that chances are they have a perception that your library is out of date. And when that's the case, you have to do some brand marketing. It's not what we're going to focus on today, because while brand marketing is important to change the perception of your library, it doesn't always result in more usage. So this is a library in the States. It's Anythink Library. And they actually dropped the name Anythink from their library's name. They were out in Colorado, and they thought to themselves, well, gee, we want to be the kind of library that people can transform their lives with. But when they looked around and they looked at their staff and they looked at their philosophies and they looked at their programming, they realized they were not transforming lives. So they did an entire rebranding effort. They changed their logo to this funny little scribble here, and they changed their name to Anythink. Now, if they had just done that and they didn't change their programming and they didn't change their staff and they didn't change their ideals, then it would have been a failed initiative. But they did the whole package. They worked with customer service, they changed what they offered, and it was a very successful rebranding effort. But rebranding is not the first place to start when we talk about getting people to use your collections and programs and services. That is what we call product marketing. Now, for libraries, we don't usually talk about product marketing. But essentially, it's getting people to use your stuff. But we don't usually think that way because we don't think of our stuff as products. So the question is, if you look at your library and you start to think about, what kind of stuff do I have? Well, first off, you have your collections, right? All of your collections. You probably have ebooks and audiobooks. You might even have streaming videos, even academic videos, tutorials via video. Of course, you have tons of online resources, right? And do you offer trainings, either group trainings or one-on-one consultations? And of course, you have programming. Those are what we call, in the business world, products. And if we translate it to you, your stuff, that is all of the things that we would market for a product. But before we start to look at products, we have to really start and ask ourselves, why would someone use your products? And that's kind of a strange place to start if you think about it, because most people say, well, we're a library, we're free. Isn't that enough? But actually, it's not. Free might have other values to your people, such as they would rather have convenience. So, for example, you might offer online training, and it might be a little bit complicated for the average user. So there, it might be free, but it might have a little bit of an obstacle to go past. Another reason why free is not necessarily always good is that other marketers who want people to pay for their services are really busy telling everybody, don't use free, pay for our products, right? So the question really is, why would someone use any of your products, your collections, your videos, your trainings? Why would they use that? And you have to ask yourself that, and you have to go beyond the why. You have to really ask yourself, what problem does it solve? Now, basically, there's 5 big, broad ways that a benefit can come. Now, you might save them or earn them money. So save them money, it's a free product, that's saving. But you also might help to earn money. So by using your product and getting a degree or doing something better in business, they get to earn money. Learn something new. That's a given, and that's so many of your products are offering something new. They want to be entertained. People want to be healthy and comfortable, and they want to save time and effort. Now, interesting enough, here in the States, saving time and effort is paramount. People would rather pay for something to save time than to get it for free. So one of the things that you would have to do is to really think about what benefit do your collections and your products provide. So here are some really great examples of what it looks like when you start to look at benefits. Now, you are familiar with Amazon, which is the biggest bookseller in the world and actually the biggest company in the world, right? Well, Barnes & Noble was its early competitor, and they still are, but Barnes & Noble stayed with books. That's their solid core product line. And so when they start to compete against Amazon, they have to start to look at, well, what's the benefit of using Barnes & Noble versus using Amazon, right? So let's take a look at what that looks like. So up here where this red arrow is, you can see that they say discover free, quick reads from innovative thinkers. So one of the things that Barnes & Noble holds on to is their customers are innovative. They like something fast and, of course, free. So here the why is because it's free, it's easy, it's fast, and it appeals to innovative thinkers, right? And then down here on the bottom, where you can see the second red arrow, here we're talking about the best bookstore online. And here they're trying to convey to people that while Amazon may be the biggest company, we're really big too. Don't forget us. And they're saying we have 6 million books ready for shipment within 24 hours and 4.5 million ebooks to download now. And the reason why they put that there, of course, is that everyone says, oh, well, Amazon is so easy, or Amazon has so many products. And so Barnes & Noble wants to remind people that, hey, we have these things too. Now, isn't that something that libraries also face? Because you have the same content, you have books and ebooks and videos, businesses have. And so how do you keep yourself and explaining to your customers the benefit of using you? So you would be free, right? You offer tons. How many books are in your collections, right? And what are your hours? Not only do you offer live hours, but you're open 24 hours a day. So there's benefits. Does that make sense to everyone? Here's an interesting thing too. So Hoopla is a digital movie company. You can purchase videos from them. And here in the States, there's lots of competition for this because there's so many companies that do this. The thing is that they market it to libraries. So when libraries start to talk about promoting their videos via Hoopla, of course, the thing they want to talk about is that it's instant. And why do they want to talk about instant? Because the perception of libraries always was, oh, you have to check something out. You can't just get it online. So here, the benefit of borrowing Hoopla is that you can instantly, you see what I circled, instantly borrow digital movies, and then down on the bottom, they hit the second time benefit anytime, anywhere. So no matter where, you can download a Hoopla video. And that's talking about the why. Why would I want to use Hoopla? It's digital movies, music, ebooks, and more, 24/7 with your library card. That's all great. And you can get it anytime, anywhere. There's the benefit. Now, Khan, this is another example of benefit-driven messaging because Khan is a free academic platform here in the States. You can take any class you want and it's free. Now, I picked this because libraries also work with free products. What they did a beautiful benefit. You can learn anything. And so in a way, it's motivational and it's uplifting because you can certainly learn everything. And it's for free, for everyone, forever. That's perfect branding. That's perfect product marketing because they hit the free for everyone and forever. And then what they do is they break that into some audiences. So you have teachers and you have parents, or you have Start Learning Now for yourself. When you click on parents, it's beautiful because, again, benefit. Every parent wants their child to learn. And every parent wants to feel as though they can help their child learn. And so the benefit is the unwritten thing that they're talking about is that you can be a better parent. You can help your child learn anything. Parents, start here. So the benefit is you can be a better parent if you use our product. So when you think about marketing benefit for your products, what do you think about? How can you be a better you? How can you be a better student using the library? How can you be a better business person using the library? How can you just be a better you by using the library? That's what you call benefit-driven marketing. I love this one too because this is lynda.com, which is a growing program that people pay for here in the States, and you might have that as well. But many libraries started using lynda.com too. They purchase the license and then they offer it to their people free. Well, it was interesting because the libraries were having a hard time getting people to to use lynda.com, which is kind of strange because they're so successful in the public domain. So what happened is, instead of trying to talk about all of the benefits and how people could benefit by using lynda.com, libraries tended to say, we have this. It's a what? We have lynda.com. And when you look at lynda.com's marketing, look at that first line. Learn a new skill online on your time. Over 4,000 courses in business, technology, and creative skills taught by industry experts. It's perfect because it tells me that if I use them, I'm going to be able to get a new skill. And the other benefit, on my time. That's convenience, right? So I get a new me and I get it on my time. So when we start looking at promoting your products and services for libraries, you have to keep in mind, what is the benefit of your end user? I also circled these squares down at the bottom. Unlimited access. That's beautiful. Expert teachers and learn anywhere. Those are also the benefits of using this product. And so if you look at how a company is marketing, as a library, you want to copy that and make sure that you're speaking that language. So here, this is another software company. Learn the latest. There's a benefit. It's the latest in marketing. You're going to be up to date on the newest things. Now, what does your library offer to keep people in the newest, up-to-date thinking, right? All of your online journals, that's all the newest thinking, right? And then you have marketing software. Stop interrupting, start connecting. In this case, they were speaking to salespeople who are saying, you know, salespeople used to have to make the phone call. Well, now they don't have to anymore because now this is all online. They track people and they can send them emails. Another benefit, close more deals with less work. You know, we don't think, again, as libraries, we don't always think about business terms, closing deals. But if somebody's using your library and they want to ace that exam, they want to get that promotion, they want to find that new career, right? That's the same benefit as close more deals. And then over here on the bottom right, stop cold calling, start closing. This is a real call to action to salespeople who have always had to get on the telephone, and now they say, you know, you don't have to be talking all the time. We help you close. So nice benefits, 4 different benefits on one page. That's pretty amazing. All right. So here is something that I just want you to take a couple of seconds to look at and think to yourself, well, what are the benefits here? When this company is promoting an audiobook, well, what's the benefit? And if you look around, right, what would be the first one? Free, right? Perfect. So that's a free is your first benefit. And then choose from 180,000 plus. There's another benefit. We have lots of assortment, right? And then the third benefit, which of course in this nice big call-out box, get my free audiobook. So the benefit is that you can get something free too. So free, and then the number of books. And the reason why it's so very important for benefits, of course, is because that's what people relate to. Now here is a follow-up on that. So they're also saying that, so what you get is a book a month, the listens you love, not just audiobooks, but audiobooks you absolutely love. And then they say you have membership perks. If you think about your library having membership perks, can you think of those? What are the advantages to being a library cardholder, right? You get access to free training. You get individual attention from our librarians. You get unlimited free materials. All perks, right? So here this slide is probably one of the most important slides in this deck because the question is, how do you know the benefits for your individual patrons? You have to ask and you have to listen. Now, you have to know what matters to people. You can't guess and you can't assume that if it's important to you, it's important to them. And so there's some really simple ways that you can do that. You can conduct very simple surveys. Someone comes into your library, maybe 1 or 2 questions. Keep it simple. Make sure that you're getting the direct information that you need. Don't give them long surveys because they're not going to want to answer them. But very to the point, why would you want to use our online databases? Or have you used an online service to learn something? Or if you tailor to specifically what you're trying to know about, the survey can be quick and fast. Focus groups, they're a little bit more entailed. And if you're really looking at launching a new product, it's very worth your while. Observation. Okay, this is one of those things that anybody can do anywhere. And all you do is go to the lunchroom, sit in your library, go outside and where people are gathering, just sit down and listen to them because they will start to talk about things that matter to them. I know it's a little bit of eavesdropping, but the whole idea is that you can start to hear what people say and what's important to them, and that's when you know the benefits. Another point is what we call point of interactions. This is really important whenever someone checks out a book or talks to somebody in your library. How many times has someone come up to one of your staff members and asked them for help? Well, if they have a simple question to follow up, and if they said, oh, so would you be willing to use an online database? And if they say yes, then you say, oh, let me show you. But if after they get done using it, if you say, well, was that what you expected? Or would you use that again outside the library? Or why was that valuable to you? Those are all the questions that you can ask one-on-one and to start to get a sense. Of course, social media, if people are talking about a topic of something, a product, you can also listen, are they saying anything good about your library? Or are they saying anything bad about your library? Are they talking about different services that you also offer, but somebody else is offering? Because if they say, wow, I just went into a bookstore and just had the fastest service ever, well, fast would be pretty important to them, right? So it's just looking and listening to social media. And then, of course, my favorite is email. Email, when people opt in, when they say, please send me something via email, that is a great way for you to ask questions. We always ask one question at a time. We don't do long polls. But, for example, in my product, say we're making something, and I'm not sure whether or not my people find that valuable. I'll send a little question, and I'll say, hey, we made that flyer for you. Was that valuable? Yes, no. So that way I can start getting that information from them. But if you don't ask, if you don't listen, you won't know what to use for your benefits, right? Staff buy-in. So staff buy-in is very interesting because oftentimes we think staff just gets it. If you order something, if you build a new collection or you order an online database, you just assume, well, everybody sees how important it is. But that's not the case. Staff buy-in will make the difference in anything that you're trying to promote. And what we fail to do often is we fail to connect the dots for our staff. And we have to tell them, why does it matter to the patron? What kind of patrons would find it valuable? What success will look like? In other words, what will it look like if we're happy with them talking about a product? And then you have to talk about how those products relate to each other. So why? Why all of this? Because when your staff talks to someone, they have to really know the right people to talk to. So I'm working with a college, and they're doing a special service for graduate students. It's only for graduate students. And so they're doing a whole staff training on the services that a grad student would want and need. Interesting enough, it's many of the same services that undergrads would be interested in. But the difference is how they explain it to a graduate student. So for an undergrad, they might be talking about this will help you complete your degree or help you complete your coursework. For the graduate student, they're talking about this will help you with your master's degree. This will help you get a job. So they start to connect it in a different way. The other thing you have to do for staff, you just have to do, is you have to provide them with easy messaging. Because you think about all the benefits of why this is valuable to staff, but it's harder for them to think about that. So, for example, a very simple word that something staff might say is, have you tried our ebooks yet? That is a great question to ask anybody who checks out a print book, right? A great point of interaction. Oh, I see you have a print book. Have you tried our ebooks? That's really, really easy, right? Someone returning a book late, you might teach staff to say, I know you hate these fines. Don't worry about it. Ask me, let me tell you about our fine-free audiobooks or ebooks. See how you start to teach staff how and when to interact. The same with ebooks as audiobooks. So when you have people coming in and they look really busy and you have an audiobook that's similar, they might not even know you offer them. So the idea is to give them benefit-driven messaging and then something to give customers. They sometimes forget that because a person might not remember everything, your staff. So have something handy, whether it's a flyer or whether it's a link to something. But make sure they can give your customers something. And then most of all, continual updates. How many of you are doing 1-minute meetings with staff every day? A 1-minute meeting is so easy. You gather everybody together. You might have to do it in the morning shift and the afternoon shift. Gather everybody together and you say, okay, this is what we have to update today. This is what's important to know. It's easy. So one of the things that I wanted to show you is that how effective this is. So this is St. Charles Parish Library. They had a reading advisory service that they wanted to do. And what they actually did was they surveyed their staff to find out what did staff know about this service. And they found out staff knew very little, very little. So from the staff survey, they then decided to train them. They built a training program for them. And after a month of they gave these little buttons, and after a month of having staff trained and out on the floor talking, they increased their Reader's Advisory Service by up to 3,000%, which is pretty amazing. And that's very little marketing. That was just teaching staff. That's how important it is. They knew what to say. They knew how to say it. Mid-Hudson Libraries are a whole group of 60 libraries in the New York State. So what they did was they decided to teach staff every month they were going to focus on one database. And what they did was they did a staff training on it, and they put out flyers. And a neat little trick is on the back of the flyer, they did little tips. So if staff was talking about it, they could pull up the flyer and read the back and remember. Every single month, a new database was introduced, and staff felt comfortable, confident talking to people. It was a very, very successful program with just a simple flyer and really educating staff. That is how important it is to educate staff. This is Fayette Free Library. They did an interesting thing too. They didn't do a huge marketing campaign, but they had also decided they had a reader's advisory service. They wanted to help people find the right selection. They did tons of staff training so that staff felt connected and they felt like they were buying in. They did simple signage. It wasn't a big deal. They just, you can see this picture to the right here. It was just a simple sign with some books here out. Wasn't a big deal. Many of you have cases like that. And then when they went on outreach, staff was prepared to talk about this service, and lo and behold, they saw a 100% increase in their Reader's Advisory Service. Now that's the power of training your staff and getting staff buy-in. So this slide, I find librarians often go, oh no, because remember we talked about stuff, and stuff are your products? Every time you add something to your library, a new online database, a new collection, a new whatever, a new training or a program, this should be the process that you put in place. And as you can see, it's a pretty big process to launch a product. Now, the thing about libraries is that typically what we do is we buy stuff, we put it in, and we never launch it. It just adds to our stuff that we offer our patrons. And so when you start to look at this type of plan, you look at creating a buzz, a pre-launch. You let the media know. If you're on a campus, you let the campus know. You start with a social media plan. You start to think about what partners, what people and partners and organizations might benefit by this. You start to build your marketing collateral, and most of all, you train your staff. It's really simple. When you launch that media and social media, and usually you have some kind of event, right? Something that pulls people in, that celebrates what you have to offer. You do the in-house displays, maybe some posters, digital signage, that kind of thing. So wherever anybody is in your library, they're seeing this new product, right? And then, of course, you conduct your outreach. And then post-launch, of course, you want to measure your impact. Are people using this? When people come into your library, if you ask them about this new product, do they know about it? You want to sustain the buzz. How do you do that? You start to get testimonies and reviews from people. Every time you help a customer with an online database or a collection development or some new service, you ask them, so how was that for you? Would you rate this well? Would you give us a quote that we can share, right? And then, of course, you have case studies and success stories, and you can share those as well. All of this helps to let people know it's coming, when you have it, and then the aftermath. It becomes a circle of a product launch. Now, I know chances are you're feeling a little bit behind because you haven't done it for every product, and you're probably also feeling like it's just too much. So a really quick and easy way is what we call the do-over strategy. You create your benefit-driven messaging, you train your staff, and you communicate. It's simple. And you can group them together, so you don't have to do each individual product. Here, we did an email campaign. We had 25 libraries that participated. All they did was email. We did benefit-driven, such as this. This was a online diploma, and we targeted young parents who might not have had that diploma and how the pride that they feel for their adults. Here, Reinvent Your Future, Startup, 2 benefits, and then we saw double-digit usage of all the databases. Some people had in-house courses that they couldn't fill. One library added 3 extra courses just getting the communication out. University of Texas at San Antonio, they combined the strong staff identity, teaching staff, created some fun marketing collateral, and you see they had the blue shirts. That's a college campus, so they're a little bit more in tune, but you don't have to do shirts. But the key to their success, they said, staff buy-in, number 1. They had a simple tagline. They communicated through lots of channels. They did social media, email. They were in person. They did outreach. And when they actually launched it, they did some big events. So the campaign was Ask Me Anything. It was just about trying to get people to ask questions for reference. And so the question out of all of this, when you start to look at your own services and your own products, which one would you relaunch? Would you pick a collection? Do you have online services that aren't being used? Think about what is it that you might want to launch. So I'm going to put up a little poll here, and you can have an opportunity to kind of share which product, just check mark, which one you think that you might want to promote. Would it be a special collection? Maybe your ebooks or audiobooks, streaming videos, maybe your online resources or trainings or programs. And think of it in terms of, what areas do you feel like you've got these great services, but people aren't using them as much as you would like them to? And all you have to do is just click. You can click as many as you want and click on the one that you feel. Yeah. So typically, and this is a great place to start because it starts to help you visualize, what is it that we really think would be a good start for us? So it looks like, specific collections, ebooks, audiobooks, which is pretty interesting because you would think that would be our most popular pieces of our collection, and yet we do have to promote those. One of the things that we see that's super valuable for ebooks and audiobooks is to actually cross-promote those. So we have what are called shelf talkers. They're little pieces of paper that you put on the shelf, so you could put signage, but instead of doing it in a different section, you use them right in the stacks. So when people are going to the print collection, you're reminding them, hey, have you thought about audiobooks? Or we have this in audiobooks. We have this on ebooks. Streaming videos, oftentimes the best way to get people to know that you have streaming videos is if your staff knows what topics you have. When people check those out, they can easily remind people that, we have a streaming video. We have videos on this. Online resources. So the best way to think about online resources is to go to your benefit statements again, group them together so that you can market them with all the benefits together. Don't group them together with we have online resources, but put them together. These resources will help you with this, or these resources will help you with that. Trainings and programs, same way. That's a great cross-promotion opportunities. Okay, that's great. I'm going to finish this up. So we have about 10 minutes for questions. So if anyone would like to ask a question, you can simply pop that into the Q&A box. And if you type in a question, I will be more than glad to answer it. And you can ask anything in terms of details of something that you thought I might have touched upon, but you wanted to know a little bit more detail on. Or you can even leave a comment about some struggles that you're having, questions about what are different channels that are working well with your library? So while you take a few minutes to think about the questions, I will talk just a little bit about communication channels. So I briefly touched on email and social media and in-person, and oftentimes people think it's just one. But in fact, in today's modern marketing, we need to hit all channels, as many as possible, because we don't know where our customers are going to be, and we don't know when they're going to be someplace. So here's a great question. I'm wondering if in your public library, is the website open for everyone, or do people need to have a username and password for the library? So they have to personally go to the library. So that's a great question. In the public libraries, there's an open area where they can view their books and catalogs, but in order to see their online resources, they need a password. So it's a little bit of both. If they want to check out a book or check out an audiobook, they also need a password and a username. Now, oftentimes libraries felt that that was a hindrance. That was a problem. But what we've discovered is that the idea is to just keep it simple. So if they can create their own password, that's so much better. But oftentimes, libraries will just use the last 4 numbers of the person's phone number, and that way it's nice and easy for them. Does that make sense? Are your websites open entirely, or do you have to have a password to get to the website? Yes, so you're in the same situation as us with open, but you have to have the password for the online databases. We have found the email campaign that we did, you know, in the old days, we used to spend all this time trying to teach our patrons how to use a database, and we made it sound so complicated. Now what we try to do is we just simply say, sign in, like you do for everything else, lynda.com, any online service that you use, you have to use a password. So we just take it as a matter of fact. Sign in, and then you can use the database. The other thing that has really helped with online resources for us is to give people an idea of the kind of things they can use those online resources for. So in the old days, we used to say, oh, if you're a small business, you can use our online database. We have everything there. Now we say, are you looking to create a marketing plan? Use this database. Sign in. It will give you an outline of how to do it. So we go right to the benefits, and it really does make a difference. Okay. We have about 7 more minutes. Please feel free to keep asking questions, but I do have another poll for you to fill out. And of course, this makes sense because just like what I said about finding out how people think and what's beneficial to them, we're going to have a very short poll on your feedback on what this webinar was and whether or not it was how you would evaluate it. So I'm going to open that, and again, you can vote, and please feel free to be as honest as you can, and continue to ask questions if you like. If you have any comments that you want to put in the chat or the Q&A. Okay, let's see. At the same time, let me see. What do I think makes word-of-mouth marketing so powerful? So I think what makes word-of-mouth powerful, the most powerful, is that it comes from someone you know and trust. Every study out there says that people listen to a friend and family before they listen to anybody else. So what word-of-mouth marketing does is it puts a message from one friend to another. You know, whether or not that's choosing a book or going to the library. If I said to my friend, oh, I go to the library every single week, I wouldn't miss it, that is much more powerful than a stranger saying, oh, you should go. So I think the most powerful thing about word of mouth marketing is that it comes from a person that you trust. So the question about online resources from their home. Yes, people can access, well, some online resources are contracted for a library that can only be accessed at the library, but most of their online resources can be accessed at home. So I would say a very small percentage can't, but that's usually set up by the company. But most people can access from home. Does that make it a little bit more clear? Yes. Cool. All right. So it looks like everybody, we are 5 minutes away, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to take them. I want to thank you again. This has been such an honor to have a chance to talk with you, and I hope to do it again. Thank you. Oh, well, another question. So another question is it useful to connect between the email? Oh, Usama, you are right on track. So we think, yes, that there's a good idea to connect with email and social media, but remember you have two different audiences. Your email people, you know. What we do with social media is we drive them to want to sign up for email so you can personalize that. Your social media is going to be a little bit broader. Your email is going to be narrow because you have a target audience. Does that make sense? Can you get printed material for your excellent webinar? What a nice way to say that. Yes, we have the PowerPoint slides for print. Yes. Okay. Again, thank you so much. Yala, anything?
No, thank you. I hope that everybody get benefits about this, and I would like to thank you all. And Nancy has her best book that, from ALA. The title is what we call it. I try to think at the same time about the Arabic name. It's we call it as bite-sized marketing for library, which we can say it in Arabic, خدمة أو تسويق بحجم القدمة. But I saw it now. She can publish part 2 of it and make it finger food marketing book for this one, because you summarize huge things of marketing, and as we know that marketing is a big challenge for libraries in general and academic libraries in specific. So I can see that you give it in a very smoothly, easy way. Thank you so much. I know that still a lot of work. Everybody attend this webinar should do a lot of customization for their thoughts, challenges, and also their needs. Because I know that even the academic libraries in terms specifically for a specific area have their own customized needs. I would like to thank you again, and for sure I invite everyone. We will do a series of webinars. For sure Nancy will have a lot, and another topics we will not leave it away, and we will do more webinars there. The coming month there is another webinar about library spaces and how to utilize this one and configure it with another expert. So thank you, Nancy, again. Have a wonderful day and see you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.